Talking.
We can hear us talking.
Uh-oh.
So we didn't change the
We
name.
are live.
Should we change the title?
We'll change the title later on.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fix or Flop. I am Joseph Castillo, your host here at Fix or Flop. Once again, in the studio audience, we have Stanley here. And the man Stan, the man. Without Stan, we wouldn't be on right now.
Hello.
I came here hours before him. I set up everything, and I couldn't get it to work. He's here for like 15 minutes. Everything's working. Oh, my God. We appreciate you, sir. And we also have a special guest here, and you could just look to the camera when you talk. This is my good friend, Josh Hatcher.
Yes.
He is the president and CEO, founder of, tell him your company name.
Property Wishes.
Property Wishes, and today we're going to get into what Property Wishes does, and we're excited to have him here as our guest on Fix or Flop. And we hopefully you'll have some flop stories for us today, because we do like to hear flop stories.
Yes, please.
Don't always have to be yours, but just anything. But we're here today with Josh Hatcher. We're excited to be here. Some people have been asking me about, what cigars are those? What are you guys smoking? Well, we're at the Imperial Cigar Lounge in Sugar Land. We want to thank the owner, Tom Tran, who is a real estate investor. I don't think you met Tom.
Is he the guy that was working at the front?
No. That's
Okay.
Mike. He's
Gotcha.
like the chairman of the Republican Party for Fort Bend, the guy
wow.
that you met.
Yeah.
But Tom's
Super
the
cool
owner
guy.
here. Is this your first time here?
This is, yeah.
Okay. So Tom's the owner. Tom's an investor, real estate developer. He's developing all over the area here.
Really?
And but in the cigars is his hobby. He's a good man. Most cigar people are family people.
Mm-hmm.
If you go over there, you'll see guys that they're like 90 years old, 89 years old. They're hardworking men. They're businessmen. They're lawyers. They're business owners, and they're family guys. They just
Sounds
come
a lot
here.
like you.
Yeah, and they just come to here and have a cigar, relax, and a lot of cigar shops in Dallas have Bible studies. So a lot of cigar shops actually have Bible studies at the cigar shop, like Saturday mornings and stuff.
Wow.
Which I'd like to have something like that here one day.
Yeah.
But
Interesting fact.
And anyways, those of you who might be wondering about the glasses, since I turned 45, I needed to wear glasses, and I haven't worn them. I don't have a big prescription. It's very little bit, but that's why the new look. So I feel like I look more wiser. I feel like I look wiser.
I like the shape. It's very similar to mine, Joseph, actually.
We got good taste. Yeah. So I am rocking the glasses now. But so anyways, they asked me about what kind of cigars do you have here. So I'll do a little cigar
which one's
profile.
mine?
I think every week we could profile the one. So you were asking me about yours, right?
Yeah.
That's the street taco. If you could show the camera. That's the street taco. And I think that particular one says carnitas. I believe it says carnitas. Yeah, so I believe this is made by, I could be wrong, and you could fact check because you have AI.
Yeah, let me check.
As the street taco cigar. I could be wrong, but I thought it was made by Oscar Leaf. Oscar, I could be wrong. Because I met the rep for them, and they told me the story.
Cornitos.
Yeah, just street taco cigar, and it should come right up. Put a street taco. So let me just tell you the story about the street taco. The owner of this guy is a master blender, a cigar connoisseur, an aficionado, master blender. He worked for major companies and he started his own company. And he went to Mexico on a business trip, and they took him to eat, and he ate some street tacos. And he said, "Oh my God, these are the best tacos I've ever had in my life."
Right.
He said, "What do you call this?" He said, "Oh, we just call this street tacos," I told him. And he said, "Man, I never had anything like this." And the guy, he ate, I think the story goes, he ate like 20 tacos.
20.
He sat there and maxed 20 tacos. They were so good. And that was what inspired him. He wanted to make a cigar that was so good, so smooth, and so enjoyable that people would love them, and they would buy, 5 of them, 6 of them, 10 of them,
Yeah.
just like the street tacos.
Well, I guess
So
to
that's
live up to
inspired.
it, I need 19 more. Yeah.
So you got to give us, your review. Tell us what it tastes like, So you just fired it up. What's your first, and if you don't like it, that's fine, because there's a lot of cigars that
No,
don't like it.
I like it. I like it. Well, so it's my.
What's the profiles?
It's So you're the only person I've ever smoked a cigar with. So this is my second time. So I don't really have much to compare it to. But it's smooth, and for being a non-smoker, I'm not coughing too hard. So
All right,
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, you don't inhale it, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes,
don't
that's
inhale,
true. But still,
What would you say it tastes like when you? Does it taste like? Is it more like? Is it kind of peppery, kind of hot, or is it more like nutty or espresso to coffee taste, or like chocolate?
I would say coffee. Yeah.
Wow, like a cafe con leche, like a milk coffee, right?
Yeah, kind of like I get an Americano, like it's like a very strong feeling.
Nice.
But I was chewing a pepper like gum before I came in here, so like that might be
That
throwing
could-
it
that
off a
could
little
kill
bit.
the
Mash it.
profile too.
Yeah,
it could kill it.
because it definitely doesn't taste like a taco.
What?
there's that.
They don't taste like tacos. It's not the concept of tasting like a taco. It's the concept of you like it so much you want to, you
Right,
you
right,
want
right,
to.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
You
Yeah,
know?
I don't mind it.
So that was now you got the creme de la creme. This guy's smoking.
Yeah, I'm curious about this one. It says 10th anniversary champagne edition, right?
Yeah, that's the Perdomo, right?
Yeah.
So that's the Perdomo. Now, did you keep it in some kind of humid place?
Yes. You gave me a little bag.
Oh, good. With a little thing in there.
Yes,
Good.
and
Okay.
it's really smooth. Like I'm not coughing or anything like this from this.
Yeah, well, this is the champagne edition, the 10-year anniversary Perdomo. It's a really smooth cigar. Matter of fact, if I'm going to go with a light wrapper, so the light wrappers are called Connecticut. So if I'm going to go with a light wrapper, a Connecticut one, these are really smooth. And they're not too expensive. They're only $10. I'm smoking the Nub Habano, and the Habano is based off of the Cuban seed. And this is, you see it's a little darker wrap. It's a
Yeah.
natural colors, cured in the sun. And this is a little more nutty flavor, kind of like some almonds and a little espresso. These are going to be more creamy. The Connecticut's are usually a little bit smoother. But I don't like cigars with spice. Anything that's like a little peppery, hot, spicy.
Not good.
I don't like that personally.
pleasant.
Some people do. So, anyways, those are our cigars introductions. So let's give it up for Tom's and the Nub, Perdomo, and Street Taco. Who made Street Tacos? Did you pull it up?
Yeah, let me see. Street tacos. Are we talking about
Was it Oscar?
the creator of Street Tacos?
Yeah.
Let me see. Street Tacos.
Whose line is that? Is it Oscar Lee?
Line was created by Noel Rojas.
Rojas. The
Yes.
Rojas cigars. That's
Noel
right,
Rojas.
Yeah, and I think you can find some Rojas back in the humidor. Matter of fact, I went somewhere in Dallas this week and I found they had a whole bunch of the Rojas. So Rojas is the guy that makes these. He's the guy that went to Mexico, tried the street tacos, was like, dang, those are good. So that's our little presentation of what we're smoking today.
Nice.
So now let's get to Josh, one of my good friends. And as we talked about last week, we talked about how we're licensed to do life insurance, right?
Yes, we are.
And we actually got introduced to life insurance through Josh, and that's one of the businesses he owns. He's building a business in life insurance, but he's also has that real estate business.
Correct.
Home, what's it called again?
Property wishes.
Property Wishes. Property Wishes. And if we get some logos and stuff like that later on, we can put them on the podcast and show people Property Wishes. Can you tell us a little bit about Property Wishes and what is it you do and so forth?
You want my full background story, or just
yeah,
like from
please.
Property
How'd
Wishes?
you get into it?
So like real estate? Okay, gotcha.
You know.
Okay, so my mom was a realtor, but she's just like being a mom, so she kind of just faded off on that. But when I was real little, about like 10, 11 years old, I remember I was riding with my stepdad in the car, and I was like, so somebody owns all these apartments we're driving past. Somebody owns all this and this and this. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I bet that person has a lot of money, because like obviously you have so many tenants. I don't know why I thought like that, but and so I went on YouTube and watched up videos like how to become a real estate investor, and then I realized like how little I knew about the world. So I kind of just quit and never thought about it again until I turned about 19. I was working for my dad's company.
Yeah.
I got fired from my dad's company.
Oh.
So I was like, what's the next step? So I found Robert Kiyosaki, which I'm sure y'all know who that is.
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yeah,
right?
love it.
I read his book and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the real estate auction and I'm gonna buy a house for 20 grand. I just gotta ask 10 people for $1,000, right? That's gonna be pretty
Get
easy,
out
right?
of here.
Yeah.
10 people for $1,000.
And how old were you
Yeah.
at this time?
I was now I'm like 19, 20.
1920.
Yeah.
Wow.
This guy is understanding
What?
business, raising capital,
He's hunting.
hunting. He's
Yeah.
going out asking 10 people for 10.
I never did, but I thought like, okay, well, so I could go to the auction and buy the house for like the 10, 20,000 that he talks about in the book.
Yeah.
Well, then I go to the auction, I realize people are buying it for like 150,000. The house is only worth like 120, and I was like, okay, now I need 150 people. so I run
so
into
you were thinking
yeah.
at that age you could get a house for 20K, like a beat up house.
Yeah, like
Fix it up,
2020,
yeah.
or well,
But the reality when you
2022.
got there was a little bit different.
yeah.
Okay.
And then so I ended up running into this couple, and they kind of taught me the ways. And it turns out, because I was chasing foreclosures, and so, which is where Property Wishes comes from, the name, because kind of what do you wish would happen here?
Right.
You know, like, you want to lose your house? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to keep it? Like, what do you want? And so I just started knocking on people's doors, because that's how they told me they got their leads. So I bought the foreclosure list here in Houston, and I would just knock on their door, and that's where we were at. Yeah, and then and I still do it today.
You would knock on the door of
Of the
people.
person that's on foreclosure, and I would just ask them what they would want to happen here.
So how did your first deal go? How was that?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm
like,
curious.
Like,
Like,
what
was
was
it
the first
messy?
deal? Where'd you get the money?
So
Was it messy? Yeah.
Great question. So first deal, is it first contract signed or first time getting paid?
Just your first. Yeah, let's do first time getting paid. Yeah. Tell me
Okay,
about that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, very interesting story. So what happened is that we had this house under contract,
Right.
and then, I mean, it was just, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? I knock on the door. I'm so scared to talk to them. It's the day before the auction, and they've blown off like 19 other people, but they did work with one person at the beginning of the month. So it was in Pasadena. And it's just this it's this one-story house. It was like 4-bed, 2-bath, big yard.
Was it crappy?
It was, yeah. So like their back door wasn't even actually like hinged on.
No way.
Yeah, and like there was water. Like, so the roof, I might still have pictures, but the roof. Okay, so there was a hole in the roof.
No.
But like right above the gutter, so like right where it becomes the roof, and you can like see the skeletons of the house.
Oh yeah, that's.
And it was raining that day.
Oh.
And
Joseph.
so
Yeah. Go
so
ahead.
yeah, so we ended up getting the house under contract. I ended up giving it to that couple that I met, and they paid me a wholesale fee essentially, and they've taught me ever since, and I owe a lot to them.
Oh wow. And
Yeah.
was your wholesale fee? Was your
It was
wholesale
their
fee-
basic, man. It was.
Was it
10
worth
grand.
it from that house?
Yeah, so I knock on their door.
Yeah.
The mom comes out. So actually, I text them at the beginning of the month.
Uh-huh.
I didn't text, I called, but I called them at the beginning of the month, and they weren't interested, but they reached back to me the night before.
Yeah, because it's just so distressed. Like why?
Yeah,
why would
so
you keep it?
so they reach out to me the night before, because I knocked on their door at the beginning of the month, handed them my flyer and everything. They ended up giving me their number, and then wow, this happened like 3 years ago. Now I'm trying to remember it. Okay, so I knock on their door. They give me their number. They're like, hey, not right now. Well, they ended up giving this other guy their social security number, and which, not a bad thing to give out, but the guy ended up just trying to take out loans from their names and stuff from their story. This is what they told me, which is a lot to do in a month.
Yeah, it
To
is a
try to
lot.
do all that, so I don't know exactly how true all of this is.
You want to break your ash.
Oh, yeah, of course. Actually, I'm gonna set it out.
You're supposed to
But-
leave your ash out as long as possible.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, because this was just. Sorry about this, but the ash, the longer the ash, it
Right.
keeps the cigar cooler,
Oh.
so it doesn't burn as hot, and don't scorch the tobacco, and it tastes better and fresher. So
Makes sense.
you want to keep your ash out as long as possible. But if you feel it might fall on your clothes, then you could gently just kind of twist it around. But sorry.
No, it's
Yeah,
all
go
good. So the
But I-
mom, she was middle-aged. She was like, well, because I knock on their door. I always say this. I knock on someone's door. I'm like, hi, my name is Joshua. And I help people who have problems with their mortgage companies. Do you have anybody in your corner getting you through this? So my question to them, and my very first question isn't, do you want my help? Just, are you getting help? Do you know your rights? Do you know what you're doing? So a lot of times people say, yeah, I have someone in my corner, even though that they don't, and you can figure that out pretty easily too by just what they're telling you. And then a lot of times when they say no, that's whenever I pour doomsday on them, so then we can at least, Because the goal isn't, for me at least, isn't just to close the deal right there on the spot.
Right.
Because some people want to keep their home. So those people that want to, if you know how to, you might as well, just because they'll come back around to you. But these guys did not want to keep their home.
Right.
So that was the good thing about it, I guess, for your pocket. But so I knock on her door, I say that, and she's like, okay, how do you help? You're like the 19th person, 20th person to actually come up and knock on our door.
Yeah, how are you unique?
Yeah. And I froze. I had no idea. Because this was my first time, like, actually getting...
You were the 19th person to knock on the door.
Yeah, it's the day before
so
the
they've
auction.
heard pitch after pitch after pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people similarly doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And so, exactly what I'm
Wow.
doing. Yeah, so if you ever buy a deal, obviously there's those people that only buy at the auction. Being 19, 20 years old, you obviously didn't have that structure and payment to just drop the 150 I was telling you about. So, so you get to the auction, you get there before, and you buy the house subject to and all that good stuff, right? But so she asked, "How do you help?" I was like, "I don't know. I got to call someone because I haven't gotten that far." So I knew that little about real estate. Someone just told me to go knock on the door, and I just did it. And then I just was lucky enough that I ran into the right person at the right time to then take over the deal. But they paid. I didn't even get it under contract. They did. So, but they still paid me for it. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So that's my first story. But I call them and I FaceTime them, and I'm like, "Hey, so you met me like earlier this month. I don't know if you even remember me, but yeah, I have this homeowner and they're wondering how we help them." And like that was the phone call. And she was like, because I called the wife. She was like, okay, can I talk to the homeowner? And she doesn't even know who I am. I'm telling you, she did not remember me.
That's the hardest person to persuade too.
Yeah.
Come a little closer to the mic if you can.
That's the hardest person to persuade too.
The wife?
The
Or the
person that doesn't know you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but this was the person that was the real estate investor is the one that I called at this moment. Like the homeowner hears me say, like I told the homeowner, I have no idea how to help you, but I might have to make a phone call. But my entire script was, hey, I'm here to help. So
I'm here to help. Oh, how can you help me? Wait right there.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened on their front door. And they had the most simple question. They were like, well, so we don't know where our deed's at if we want to sell. And I couldn't answer that question. Little did I know that you just print out a deed and sign it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was that easy.
Gosh.
It was not an issue at all.
Oh my gosh.
Not an issue, but yeah.
So you were thinking like the deed was something that had to be located like a treasure map.
Yeah.
Correct.
And if you get that, you could transfer it over. You didn't know that you could just technically write one up.
Yeah, the county clerk's
Get
office
full
has it all
signatures
online.
and then register it. Oh yeah, but they have the verbiage online. Actually, you could actually type one up.
Correct,
As long
yes.
as the county certifies it and both people sign and it's the correct verbiage.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, you can kitchen table close for sure.
But you
And that's
can-
how they did it, which was pretty incredible.
Wait, so how did you find that out?
Kitchen
How did
table
you-
closed.
did you
That's the
search
first time I
online?
heard that term. Kitchen table closed.
Yeah, you just like as if like I was to buy your house in your house right then and there, because though you don't stop the auction the day before without doing some crazy things.
Right.
And you're not gonna put your own money on the line until you at least own the house. So yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, that was my first one. Now, how much they made, I have no idea. I don't know how much the investors made that actually bought it or
Yeah.
anything like that. But we're still close friends
Yeah.
today.
That's good. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that deal, you just want to keep moving on, right?
Yeah.
So now that you have the knowledge that you have with you now,
Mm-hmm.
what is something that you wish you did differently in your first deal compared to the streamlined process that you have now? What's something that you would have changed before?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I'm curious.
Well, my first deal worked out. so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. I wish. I understand your question. To be honest with you, man, I just went out there and I just did what the people that were doing it said to do. So like the issue is that a lot of people they want to know how.
Yeah, they
But-
want to study the how-to,
Yeah.
the how-to,
Yeah.
and they never do it.
So the issue in business is people are too smart. So whenever they're just studying and because we're taught in school to study.
Right.
So we're taught to know everything before the test. I never studied for a test, and I failed a lot of tests in school. I'm a college dropout, right? But interesting question. I get your question. So for me, when I was talking to more people, I wish I had more objections. Like I knew how to overcome more objections. Now I kind of understand it. But just for the person that's just getting started out, just go do it. There's like, because the issue is everyone's like, I need to know this and this and this and how to type up this contract, how to type up this contract. I didn't know any of that. Literally, she asked me how I help her, and I said, I don't know. and it's the day before her house. She's about to lose everything. And she didn't dislike me anymore. She didn't dislike me. Like, it wasn't, you just can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So as long as you keep moving, you'll find the right person to deal for you.
Wow, you didn't even have a mentor for this. This is all.
No, he had a mentor.
Oh, you
But
had.
he had the mentor.
but they were, hey, pay me 20 grand, 10 grand, and I'll help you.
Oh, and I
then I was,
pay me 20,000.
yeah.
I meant to you too, brother.
And
Oh.
and I never paid them, but I brought them a deal. So then
Yeah,
they were like,
that's how you
oh.
pay them.
That's how you
Yeah,
pay.
because most people, the reason they charge so much money is because most people are still studying how to do it rather than just going to go do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Makes
that was
sense.
my best advice is even if you have no idea what you're doing, just go do it.
Just
It
do
it does not matter what it is. The issue again is that we want to have all the answers before we go onto the quest kind of thing. But
I totally agree.
it doesn't work like that. I'm still learning till this day.
Wow.
So yeah.
I totally agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
That's my style of learning, at least.
Yeah.
Get out there, start pedaling the bike.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna fall a few times. You're gonna cut yourself and get scratched. But in the end, you're gonna be able to ride the bike like a pro. You know,
Yeah.
that's my philosophy too. You know?
That's facts.
Now that's what Patrick, our friend Patrick, said. We talked about him last week. I had to talk about him again this week. But Patrick said when he was first 19 or 20, whatever, he was 18, and he was getting into the insurance business, he didn't close any deals, but he was there every single day, learning and taking the classes and the workshops, and I can imagine him doing the chants and everything, you know, but not closing any deals.
Yeah.
So finally, he came to some kind of conclusion. I forget. He tells the story better. Man,
Yeah.
we should have him on the podcast.
We
next.
definitely should have him on the podcast.
He tells the story better, but through some series of talks or whatever, someone said, "Hey, you got to get out there and meet people, right?"
Yeah.
And that's when he started crushing it, you know. And
Yeah.
Pat's a rock star, right?
Yeah.
You know, I met with 3 realtors today, and they're interested in doing it, adding insurance licensing to them too. So I had Pat come in; he's the pro, you know, to come and talk about it. But that's really incredible. Now that first deal with that lady, could you break down to us and to our audience how did that help her? Because some people will look at wholesalers
As like this very thing.
as like bottom feeders.
So
you know?
pretty easy. So pretty easy. Do they want to have some money and walk away, or would they rather have someone knock on the door, say, "Hey, I bought your house and there's 6 cops behind me. Are you ready to go? Like, you guys got to leave now." So it's
Since you said it like that.
yeah. So would you rather? Because I think they bought the house for like, with all what needed to be repaired. I think it was like 90 grand. They walked away with not like in cash in hand because they had a lot of equity in their home. So they only owed like 40,000 left on their house. It was like a top of the market. ARV was like 230.
And how did they get into the bind where they got behind on their mortgage? Was it second a family tragedy?
It's not a pretty story. I could tell that, but it might make this from like 13 like PG to like 18 plus.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can tell it, but if you don't want,
I don't know. We have a mature artist. This is not for kids. I mean, now you got me.
it's up to you.
I would
It's your-
say
it's your
no, but
podcast.
I think the studio audience will be like, "Oh, what's the story? What's the story?"
So,
But this is real life, and these things
real life.
happen.
Yeah. So the mom had 2 kids, and the 2 kids, the daughter I'm actually still in touch with today. So she was actually about to get her license in
Wow.
insurance. Yeah. So crazy, right? But
It's amazing. Come full circle.
yeah. And so, but the story is, from what the mom told me, is that their dad, so mom was still with her dad, or with their dad, but they were kind of like not divorced, but they just weren't together anymore. Does that make sense? But they were still married, and they were still living under the same roof, all that fun stuff. And well, so the dad ends up knocking up a 16-year-old. And she ends up having the kid and everything. So what was happening is the wife was, because the dad didn't work, so the wife was giving him the money to go drop it off at the bank. And he was giving it to that 16-year-old. And then so yeah,
That is
Yeah.
a tough situation.
and remember, this is my first deal, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, I have no idea how to help.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is not your expertise right there, but that
No.
is a heavy
And I
story.
still don't know what, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And that was all I said. And then so now I would be able to empathetically put more words into it, but being 20 years old, you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you're
you
like,
can't.
and you just got done reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. You're like, he did not mention this. But yeah,
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
That's always like that when you study, and then when you actually go out and do it, you come up with things you're like,
Totally
man,
different.
the book did not talk about this.
Totally different.
It happens
Yeah.
and everything. We had a story where me and my friend graduated from Bible school, and in the middle, and we were pastors now. And in the middle of the night, we get this call, and they say, "Hey, Joe, you have to go get my husband. He's at he's at this underground, bar where they sell cocaine.
Like a speakeasy? Oh, sorry.
Like
Totally different.
Well, it's like it's an underground bar where they sell cocaine.
Okay.
Ran by the bikers." And so me and this pastor, we're just two goody two-shoes, two Christian guys, 4 a.m, going to this underground biker bar. And it's just like the movies. We walk up the stairs, there's a big steel door, we knock on the door, and then a steel slit opens up. And they say, like, "Who are you?" And we're like, "Oh, we're here to get, so-and-so." His wife called us, we're pastors, and his wife called us up, and she told us to get him home and bring him out of the bar.
That's so random.
And the thing just shuts. It just
Yeah.
shuts. and I don't know. They told me how, but somehow they let us in.
yeah,
So they let us in, and we start praying for everybody in the bar. This guy was on cocaine. He was going like this, and he was kind of spaced out. And there's these poker machines. He's just hitting the poker buttons.
Yeah.
And he's spending thousands of dollars in these poker machines.
Thousands.
And so I literally picked him up and carried him out.
yeah, self-control.
And we got him in the car, and my pastor friend says, "Man, they didn't teach us this in Bible college."
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that's, when you get to the real life, the real deal, the nitty gritty, and this situation's horrible. The man obviously had to kind of secretly take care of this young girl who's pregnant, and he probably didn't have any ends to do that, so he was taking the mortgage. But here you came. Many people pitched him for whatever reason. Probably they.
Urgency. And that might not be a very confident thing to say, but it's the day before you realize you weren't able to find the funding.
Oh, so
So-
they might have been people soliciting them, and they might have been like, "No, we'll find the way," and you just happen to be the last guy the day before.
Yeah, I think so. But also the follow-up's great too, because I knocked on the door at the beginning of the month.
You were consistent.
Yeah.
That's what matters, right?
Yeah, and then so they didn't remember me, but baby faced.
So you
Yeah.
you went once, and they turned you down, and you went again.
Kept going.
Yeah, powers in the follow-up.
Wow, the powers in the follow-up.
Yep.
Loan officers, realtors, entrepreneurs, take note. The power is in the follow-up. That's a fantastic tip right now. The power is in the follow-up. Man, I have a list of 70 people to follow up on.
Oh, yeah.
On the yellow on my pipeline.
Yeah.
But the power is in the follow-up. That's where you can really mine the gold, right?
Yep.
So wow.
Speaking of follow-ups, how did you first track all your clientele? Did you have an Excel spreadsheet?
No.
Or did you just...
I just the list is $50, so I just went down the list that there's like 600, 700 homes on the list every month in Harris County alone.
Right.
So
Wow.
I mean that was it. Now, I mean okay. That at that point in time, no. My first month, I just went and re-knocked on all the doors I already knocked on, and for whatever reason, I just said, okay, let me try the day before. Which this is actually the last day is the hardest way to stop the auction, but it's also kind of like where you're gonna get the deal because everyone else has already given up. They're just waiting on the next month. So my perfect window was I'm about to give you guys pro tips. So if you're investing in
tips.
Houston,
Pro tips. Tell them.
the
Look
foreclosure
there.
list comes out a month before the actual, so you can be 2 months ahead.
Tell them.
So
tell
for
them.
as of right now, we're in January, so you could we're in February, my bad. So you could probably look up April's list or March's list right now. So if you looked that up, then you can start knocking on those doors as of today. And so it's best to be the first, because you're gonna find if you're the first, you're gonna find either one or two things: people that are absolutely not ready, or people that are 100% ready to sell. Now if you're in the middle, you're competing with everyone else, and shark versus shark. So, but if you do it at the very end, that's where everyone sizzles out. You got the people that say, "Hey, this doesn't work," or you got the people that are like, "Okay, I'll just wait for next month's and after the auction."
Wow, this is actually really valuable information.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my windows. Actually, in the middle, I didn't work at all.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, in the middle of the month. Well, because I would be stealing people's flyers and they'd be stealing mine.
So the timing is also super important. Joseph, timing is super important.
Yeah,
You gotta find the right
that's
times.
crazy.
Yeah, because we have those problems too, where sometimes the borrower doesn't have a certain amount of this, or they don't have this paid off. We have to
Yeah.
find a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
or they don't want to even sell their home in time for another home.
Yeah.
So they just kind of put it off for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, timing is important.
Yep.
So now the big question.
Yeah.
What was your biggest flop? Well, like your biggest mistake in your investment career so far? Like, what was you fucked up, you messed up. Oh, apologies.
Do you want me to say
no,
it? Or
no,
no?
this is not PG-13.
Yeah,
It's not
PG.
for kids. It says not for kids.
Okay, perfect.
Do you want me to tell the story, Joey, without name dropping, or?
Yeah, no name
Because
dropping.
that is my worst story.
Yes,
No
that's
name
the worst
dropping.
story.
Yeah, no name dropping.
No name dropping.
No
No.
name dropping. Just go ahead.
His name starts with the G. It sounds like orange.
Gotcha. If you want me to tell it, I'll tell it.
Yes,
Yes,
go ahead.
yeah,
Okay.
let's hear it.
Okay, so I get a phone call from a lady, and she tells me that she just needs help with funding. She needs 10 grand for, originally it was 30,000, but I told her there's no way I'm giving her 30K. And she was like, well, can you do 10,000? And then so she convinced me after a 30-minute phone call to give her the 10 for closing cost and taxes. And it didn't make sense to me then. Definitely doesn't make sense to me now why I did it, but she was my friend, a pretty credible person in our social circle. So I did it. I asked around. We got paperwork and everything, but long story short, she was scammed. She thought if she sent someone $10,000, they would send her like $8 million. I did not know that at the time. I thought it was just property taxes and closing costs she needed help with for her deal, and I was supposed to get my money back in 45 days, and that was like 4 or 5 months ago. So that's my worst. I still haven't gotten the money back, but at least it was 10,000, not the 30.
Wow.
So
How's everything between you two?
I'm civil, but we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, it's everything's replaceable.
But you handled it like a gentleman, and that's for sure. And keep pursuing the money. Keep pursuing the money. We know the situation familiar, and my wife says to me, she said, "Do you remember, honey, that when we had a company in China. Do you remember this customer didn't want to pay, and this customer didn't want to pay, and they were trying to cheat us?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember that." She said, "Do you remember I collected on them all?" She just kept calling them up. Consistency, like you talked about. What was your quote? Consistency is the...
I said follow up is.
follow up.
Maybe
is
I don't know.
something like that.
I don't know. It's
We
cheesy.
gotta go back.
I heard
No,
it
it was
from,
great, though.
But I heard it from someone else. So.
Consistency is key. I think that's what he said. Consistency
Something
is
similar
key.
to that.
Something
Oh,
like
power in the follow up.
There's power in the follow-up.
Yeah.
Power in the follow-up, which is true. So she would follow up, just professionally, not like, "Where's my money?" Biatch,
Yeah.
It was just follow up, politely, professionally, and they paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You're right. All those guys paid. So my wife said, just be consistent. You don't need to argue or get into any this or that or blame shifting. Be solution focused. Okay, can we do something like, how about $1,500 a month, or how about next month $2,000, and then July $3,000, and then September another $3,000. But just be consistent with it, and you might be able to recoup it. Otherwise, you might,
Yeah.
if you don't do it that way, or if you burn the bridge, you're definitely not going to recoup it.
Well, last time we spoke, I told her, hey, just give me back my principal, the 15%. Don't worry about it. I'd rather just have my principal back.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said give her 2 months and I should have the entire thing. But that's been my worst experience. of real
Yeah, I mean,
estate.
I had a restaurant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I put in about 170 grand. I decided to let it go because he was trying to steal it from me. So instead of fighting and going to court and lawsuits, I decided to let it go for I think 20,000 or something. I said, hey, just pay me 20,000, take everything. And he paid me the first portion of it. He still owes me 10 grand, and then he just stopped paying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but my
Your
wife
wife needs
said,
to call him then.
no, my wife said, just give me the number. I'll get it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a wife right there.
Yeah.
But not
Wow.
through complaining and fighting and threats, just slowly, you know, following up. Okay, how about now? You have it now. You know, just you know,
Yeah.
following up. And people will pay. I think in the back of people's mind, unless they're a sociopath, I think in the back of people's mind, they know what they owe, and they feel guilty about not paying it, and they want to pay it off. You know, I think that's a general, basic human thing. You know what I mean? For me, I hate when I owe somebody money. If I owe somebody money, I'd rather pay my mortgage 2 weeks late and pay that person off personally, and just pay my mortgage 2 weeks late. I just hate having anybody say, "Hey, you owe me money," and that's just a thing with me. But I think in general, people don't like,
No.
you know, owing people money.
Borrower is slave to
And
the lender.
The borrower is slave to the lender. The Bible does say that. Yeah, the borrower is slave to the lender. And number two, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yep.
So what do you do if you have, you know, like I had a situation actually where I borrowed some money from a friend of mine. There was three of us went on holiday, and I was broke. My other friend was broke, and my friend just closed a big deal and made like 200 grand.
Yeah.
So he said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to spot you the whole trip. Let's just write down what I want you to go with me.
Uh-huh.
So don't worry about it. Pay me back when you get your next deal. I'll sponsor you." This was back in 2005.
Right.
So if I got ketchup, if McDonald's said it's 15 cents for an extra ketchup, he would write down 15 cents ketchup. He was so cheap. He put down every single thing.
Penny, every
Yeah.
single penny.
So, and my other friend borrowed me a little money for the trip too. When my other friend was asking me for it because he really needed it, I paid him right away. So then this guy's like, "Hey, where's my money? How come you paid him?" I said, "Well, he asked." And he
Yeah.
asked when I had it, I paid him right away. You know, so you know, and then I paid the other guy back too eventually. But he was like, "Hey, how come you didn't pay me first?" Well, you know, it was really just a squeaky wheel. It was the one that said, "Hey, man, I need it. My rent is due. Can you pay me back now?" All right, I got it. I just got my check, you know, here, and I sent the money. So there is that principle too. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you're not squeaking, just like, you know, knocking on the doors, right? If you're not reminding and sending them a message and reminder, calling them up, how you doing? Okay, when's that payment due? You know,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you got, you know, it's time for that first payment. Stop listening to
Yeah.
that payment plan. If you're not actually pulling on it, then you're less likely to get the money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
It's fun-
my wife told me just be consistent, keep asking.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that about how like the McDonald's packets and stuff, the ketchup. I had a friend and I asked him for a ride back in high school, and he calculated how many miles it was and how much the gas cost for how much mileage. So like I ended up paying this dude like $6 for the ride because it was like down to the penny.
Are you
Like,
serious?
I'm legit. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to get a YouTube strike, but
Go
you know, I
ahead.
would say, you know, I'm not going to say it.
Okay, don't say it.
Kanye West got canceled for what I was about to say.
Oh, okay,
So I'm
okay.
not going to
Yeah,
say
let's not say
it.
it.
You probably know what I'm talking about. Though.
Wow. I never really had to owe anyone money except for the government. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the best person to owe.
that's the best person to owe.
That's the worst person to owe. I can't wait for Elon Musk to audit the IRS.
Oh, boy.
Oh my gosh, can't wait.
Oh boy.
Wow. So can you please, before we go, because we got to wrap up, you got a meeting at 6. Can you please give us a breakdown of your services and what does Property Wishes? What does Property Wishes? What services can you provide? Can you just give us a breakdown for our audience?
So, so in like the most, I guess, pretty way to do it is, obviously we buy houses, and then also we help people restore their credit. So that's what we do. That's it. We stop foreclosures.
Restore their credit.
Yeah, we restore credit. We stop non-judicial and judicial sales, and if you're looking to sell and you need money in the cash quick,
How could they
obviously
reach you?
grateful.
How could they reach you? Do you have an email or
I do. So they can reach me at propertywishes@gmail.com.
that's great. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Property Wishes not witches.
Yes, wishes.
Propertywishes
Yes.
at gmail.com. Simple enough. Simple
Yep.
enough. We'll put that on the screen for people to see and make that available for them. So let's just do one last statement in closing. We'll let Stanley queue up a question for you,
Yeah.
or a statement in closing, and then we'll wrap up.
So, what are some red flags in a deal? Now that you know that, from your past, from your first deal, from the worst deal, what is something now that you take precaution of before hopping in on something? An investment.
But in what way?
In any way.
In any way, like if I'm at the person's house and knocking on their door.
Yes. Or on the phone, even, like you hear, is it desperation? Is it something too vague, vague of information? Anything? Some red flags.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
If they say there's just one water leak, there's probably more.
Okay, that's a good one.
So if they say that there's just one water spot when you look up in the house, there's probably about 4 or 5 more. Termites. Termites are something to look out for sure. Hoarders, because you never know where. That's another story. If y'all want, I can tell that one too. But
Have you ever met anyone like what are those called when they stay in a house?
squatters.
Squatters, yes.
But what's wrong with hoarders? Like, what's the red flag about hoarders?
Oh, because there's so much stuff in the house, you don't really know the damage.
Oh.
Yeah, so that you don't know that there's termite damage.
I see.
And
Yeah.
you have a story for that? We can wrap up.
I do have a story.
Yeah, wrap
for
up.
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
last story.
I would
last
like
story,
success
last
stories,
story.
but we can talk about
Who
those.
wants to hear
Okay.
a story? Like, give a hand clap if you want to hear this last story.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm the only one here.
All right, we got it.
All right,
Okay.
so house, we got it under contract. We wholesaled it. The guy we wholesaled it to, he ends up so. There's a lady. She's like 82 years old. So most reasons why foreclosures happen is it's not because they can't make their principal or even the interest payments anymore. It's
Right.
the insurance and the property taxes that skyrocket. So their actual
that's
house
true.
note, they only owed like 86,000, and it was a 2% interest rate. So we structured the deal subject to, but their property tax was like $600 a year. No,
A month.
not a month. I don't know. I don't
Let's do
remember.
600 a month.
The insurance was definitely like $600-700
Oh,
on the house.
no. I thought you meant taxes. Insurance,
The insurance on the house was
maybe
definitely
200 or something
no,
like that.
it was way higher.
It was higher.
Wow.
So their actual principal was like $200-300, but their insurance was like $600-700, and then
Wow, it must have been in a flood zone or something like that.
correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then I don't remember exactly, but their house note went from like $400-500 from 2002 to about because it was all escrow to about $1,100-1,200. So how much different does your cost of living grow, right? And
Especially
so-
at that age when you're older, right?
Yeah, so she was 82. She lived with her kid.
terrible.
Her kid was addicted to heroin, and he was like 54 living with them. They were told they were complete hoarders. Well, so we got the lady. She walked away with 40,000 in cash just because the numbers are the numbers, and really she should have walked away with 20,000 if we were buying 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs. But unfortunately, we did not adjust as much for repairs as we needed. So we had to come out of the pocket with that 20 because there was termites damage underneath boxes of boxes of boxes and boxes, and it's just not something you see whenever you're walking into the house.
So all that termite damage,
Yeah, 20 grand.
you didn't see, and
Mhm.
it cost you guys $20,000
Yeah.
out of pocket loss.
Correct, 100%.
That was kind of a flop.
That
But
That
did you
was a
come
big
out with
one.
something? Anything?
Yeah, we broke even.
Okay,
Oh,
so you
broke
at least
even.
broke even.
Okay, that's good.
But it was a flop.
Okay, I broke even. I got lucky. The guy gave me all my money. So, but yeah, because the person we wholesaled it to, they were like, well, hey, look, this is where we are, and you guys screwed me, whatever. And then so we reimbursed him his wholesale fee, but the person I was working with at the time, since it was my buyer, he gave me still a cut,
So how much did it cost to get rid of those termites?
20 grand. Well,
$20,000.
Yeah, well, with the damage, they ate like the skeletons in the
Oh,
house
plus
and
the
everything.
Oh
damage.
my gosh, yeah. Woof. I've been thinking about, I just bought a house here.
It was like 19
And
something.
we don't have any termites, but the guy from the exterminator said you should put termite traps around the house so you won't get termites in the future.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, is this a hustle? Are they hustling me, or is that really an issue? So I will find that out. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So you know if you have if it's termite damage, by the way that you can like.
We don't have termites now,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
No.
but he says like if you don't have termite traps around the house, he says in Houston you're going to get termites. I don't know if that's true.
So big red flag. You know it's termites by the way that the wood rolls off of like the cabinet or something like
Okay,
that.
good.
You can actually feel that it's termite damage.
Oh.
If it kind of starts looking almost not really like a beehive because it doesn't look like a beehive, but if it starts having holes through the wood and stuff, and it rolls off and it's kind of crusty.
What do you mean rolls off? Like you touch the wood and it comes
yeah,
off?
like you can like roll it off like with your fingers. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't imagine that.
Well, I can't imagine it either.
How to roll off? Like,
I mean, like how would you?
you rub it off? You mean?
Yeah, but like you,
Is
like
it
how
weak?
would you?
Is the structure weak? Can you feel like
Yeah,
it
like but like
pushes it?
if you were to break this up, how would you break it up? Kind of that
Push
same
down.
motion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
but like, yeah, you could kind of
yeah,
break it up
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
And you could touch the wood and do that to the wood.
Oh, yeah.
That means it's been eaten by termites.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I had an inspection. I don't have termites.
From what I've learned.
But I don't want to have them, so maybe we'll get some tips. Maybe we'll have a termite inspector on one of our
Yeah, we
podcasts,
should
get
have.
some tips.
our
But
comment
because of
about
the hoarding, you didn't see all the termite damage.
Yeah.
Wow.
that. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty insane, right?
Pretty
And
insane.
it was so dirty in that house.
What about mold? Any problems?
I didn't
with
hear.
mold?
I haven't had.
Well,
any
mold could be a
actually.
big expense too, though.
Yeah,
You got
it
to
could
rip
be.
all that out, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I haven't had an issue with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, good. Because it's Houston. We're very human.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse,
So-
mold or termites. I would imagine termites are worse.
I would. Yeah, because it can ruin the whole house. Like,
Yeah, it can kill the
They
skeleton.
can't hear you unless you come
Oh,
closer,
it can
yeah.
ruin the whole house. I'm saying like all the structure, the 2x4s, the whole.
Mold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything.
Another special. You broke even. It was $20,000 to cure the termites.
Well, I
And-
really didn't put any money into the deal. I just still got paid from the deal.
So red flag is a hoarder. If you do another hoarder house again, would you kind of start moving stuff around and moving things out?
125%. No matter how dirty it is, no matter how many rats, definitely check the corners, all that good stuff. Now we took pictures, we walked it. We didn't just buy it sight unseen. We didn't buy it at all, but
Yeah.
but we got it under contract at 70 cents, and it would have been pretty spot on if there was no termites. But
Wow.
you can't ever. I mean, there's just sometimes.
And
there's
even
any
that person
expenses.
walked away at 40 grand.
The homeowner, yes.
The homeowner. Wow. You guys heard it first. Property Wishes here. Property Wishes at Gmail. Josh Hatcher, President, Founder, CEO. We're glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
We really
This was
appreciate you
fun.
coming out here last minute.
Yes.
Yes.
He's from across town, Baytown. I say, hey, it's President's Day. We have a little bit of time. Could you swing by and do this? He's going to be over at the PHP this afternoon anyways. So I said, could you swing by?
Yeah. If we have you again, you should talk about PHP, your other business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that. We
Yeah,
gotta get
no
Pat on
issues.
too.
Yeah.
So,
No
anyways,
issues with
guys, appreciate you watching. Thank you. This is Fix or Flop, and if you like and you share the broadcast, it really helps us a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you,
watching.
guys.
Thank you.